This week on Africa Weekly, we take you to Kenya, where volunteer medics in seafaring mobile clinics provide basic health services to underserved populations. And we travel to Lagos, where a new chess club is giving hope to young people living in the city's slums. But first, a summary of the stories that made the headlines this week. Tunisia's Electoral Commission confirmed on Monday that retired law professor Kais Saied won the country's presidential elections with 72.7% of votes, beating his rival, the charismatic business tycoon Nabil Karoui.
We will rise to all the challenges with our blood, sweat and will, especially economic and social ones, because the Tunisian people expect solutions on this.
News of the projected victory triggered celebrations at his election campaign offices in central Tunis and out on the streets. Saied was swept to victory on a tide of support from young voters, wooed by his anti-establishment platform. Around 90% of 18 to 25-year-olds voted for him, according to estimates by the Sigma Polling Institute, compared with 49% of voters over 60. Mozambique voted in a general election on Tuesday, a day that was seen as largely peaceful, despite the campaign being marked by violence. President Filipe Nyusi's party, which has ruled the country since independence from Portugal in 1975, is widely expected to beat its civil war enemy Renamo, a former rebel group turned main opposition party. But international observers have expressed concern about voter irregularities and what they called an unlevel playing field.
The lead-up to these elections witnesses violence, intimidation and even murders, including the one of a leading figure of the Mozambique's election observation community, Mr. Anastasio Matabel. We strongly condemn such acts and those responsible should be brought to justice.
The final results are due to be published within 15 days of the vote. The corruption trial of South Africa's embattled former president Jacob Zuma has been delayed again after his lawyer announced on Tuesday that he would appeal. The last-minute move pushes back a long-awaited trial over bribery allegations dating back to a 1990s arms deal. Zuma is accused of taking bribes worth $270,000 when he was deputy president from a $3.4 billion 1999 arms purchase by 5 European firms. Zuma denied the charges, dismissing them as conspiracy. Police in northern Nigeria rescued over 300 young men on Monday from an Islamic boarding school where they were chained and sexually abused. Police Chief Sanusi Buba said the school enrolled students brought by their families to learn the Quran and be treated for drug addiction and other ailments. Buba added that the abused inmates were subjected to inhumane conditions, with some of the students revealing that they were sodomized by their teachers. The raid took place after some students escaped from their hostel on Sunday and poured into the streets in protest, revealing the barbaric conditions they were living in.
If you do not finish it, they are going to beat you thoroughly. If you vomit, you eat the food together with the vomit. And when you want to go to bathroom or toilet, you'll be naked, bathing, and they'll be together, they'll be caning you. And when you go to bed, when you want to sleep, you'll be laid like bags or like dead bodies, 40 people inside one room.
4 U.S. diplomats opened accounts at a Sudanese bank on Wednesday for the first time in decades. In October 2017, the United States lifted its decades-old trade embargo on Sudan as Khartoum seeks to draw international businesses back to the country to help revive the ailing economy.
Well, the reason behind it, one main reason, is for convenience, so that we can use our new accounts and the debit cards in stores and restaurants as we move around Khartoum. Symbolic is to support the economy of Sudan. We lifted economic sanctions in 2017, and we want to sort of show that Sudan is open for business, that banks and businesses, international banks and businesses are welcome back here.
Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta on Wednesday attended the opening of the second phase of the country's standard gauge railway project, linking Nairobi and Naivasha. The project enhances the existing line between Nairobi and Mombasa, completed in 2017.
Every month, the safari doctor's boat sets off from Lamu Island, carrying all the medical equipment needed for a mobile clinic. After more than 2 hours at sea, the team arrives in Kiangwe, a remote village near the Somali border.
The people here are in need of help. The health service inaccessible for them.
The medical team are volunteers and offer services from vaccinations to maternal health and first aid. Rufia cut his finger with a machete while working in a cornfield. The mobile clinic is his only treatment option.
It's too far, and before you get access to a hospital, it's a problem. There's no money. You need money in order to go see a doctor.
A trip to the nearest hospital would cost him $200, a small fortune here. In addition to a lack of transport and health infrastructure, residents of the region must deal with violence from terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Pillay has a lump in her neck, presumably a bullet, and a wound on her foot. She says she was attacked by the Islamist group while she was traveling in the area.
I'm the only one still alive. All the others died on the spot.
The incident took place several years ago, and her wounds have healed over time. But living in a poor, remote area, Pillay was never able to get proper treatment for her injuries. A native Kenyan founded Safari Doctors in 2015 to help isolated populations access basic health services, but the main concern of the NGO remains insecurity in the region.
You have poor infrastructure, and as a result you have the existence of the militants, if you want to call it, and the presence of the military. So traveling around becomes tricky. There's some villages that we have to make a last-minute call if we can go to or not.
The mobile clinic travels to 12 remote villages near the Somali border every month, an area plagued with violence. Despite the Kenyan army conducting operations for the past 4 years, they have failed to flush out Al-Shabaab militants. For many of these kids, it's their first taste of the ancient sport of chess. Every week, about 100 of them gather at this club in a rundown area of Lagos to learn the basics of this mentally demanding sport.
You teach them the beginners, as in the basics, the name of the chess pieces, their points, the values, then how many squares are in the chessboard, and how a pawn moves and attacks.
Under this unassuming tent set up in the courtyard of a bar, Tunde Onakoya is handing out tips. He grew up in this deprived area and went on to become a professional chess player, making him a local success story.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the true mark of a champion is being able to rise.
1 year ago, he set up the Chess in Slums project to introduce disadvantaged children to the game. The activity gets them off the streets, doing something productive with their time. And Onakoya says the lessons learned in chess can be applied to life.
They're learning soft skills from playing chess, skills like critical thinking, like good communication skills, creativity. They're learning how to think strategically. They're learning problem-solving skills, and these skills are skills that will be relevant throughout their existence.
And a few lessons in, the children are happy with the results so far.
Make me to think fast, to understand something quickly.
Just make me calculate fast.
For the most dedicated players, chess might just be able to provide a ticket to a better life, helping them get back into education. Jamiu is one of the club's best players. He lives in this shantytown with his disabled mother. After he won a tournament in April, an impressed donor sponsored his secondary education.
Chess is helping me to be a mechanical engineer by sending me to school and buying me books to read. I want to be a mechanical engineer when I grow up.
And so this sport, which can be traced all the way back to 6th century India, is once more proving its longevity by transforming lives in the slums of Lagos.
On Tuesday, Juba hosted its first women's football tournament since the country gained independence from Sudan in 2011, with 7 teams representing different states in South Sudan participating.
The women of South Sudan, or ladies, we are now playing football. Last time, previous years, they were not, this one, football was not there for women, but now we are coming up. I wish one day, one time, we are going to play outside country with women there.
That's all from us at Africa Weekly. Until next week.